there, dickhead.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Grumpy Old Man Wrestling Podcast. Rick Crabb sitting next to me, Chris Filato. And Chris, I expect this episode to be a real knee slapper of a show.
Ha 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 ha.
We will talk about that later on in the program, but there is one item that happened after our last recording, and we will get into it right now. Congratulations to Bobby Lashley for playing Beavis and Butthead Frog Baseball with The Miz and winning the title. And Chris, I'll be honest with you, I thought they were going to swerve us. I thought they were going to say at the very end, okay, you'll have like Pierce or Shane McMahon or somebody say, you're guaranteed a title match at Fastlane, and I didn't think they were going to change it, but I'm glad they did.
Well, the thing is, they said 9 o'clock, and that's when he had the stomach, quote, air quotes, stomach issues.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Bobby Lashley basically grabbed him by the throat and said, you better be out there. And what did Adam Pearce say to him? It says, I don't care if I have to carry you out. You're going out.
Mm-hmm.
Then 10 o'clock came. Count out. As soon as the bell rang, he ran out like a scolded... What did Jim Ross say? A scolded dog.
Yep.
And then Shane McMahon, who we don't know what direction he's coming from because of the whole Braun Strowman thing.
Well, same thing with Adam Pearce, and we'll talk about that later. But
about what happened on NXT.
Okay, but we'll stay in Raw for now.
But Shane McMahon making it a lumberjack match at the end, and even the heels who hate Miz were throwing him back into the ring, like Retribution, who are anti-establishment, and they were there. You try to explain that one.
They can't explain it. And it's just lazy booking. And it's like, all right, just throw some people out there,
Yeah.
It's a wonder you didn't see Pierce and Shane as to the Lumberjacks. I mean...
But I like it. We got to see the murder, the burial, and the service of one Mike Mizanin. Oh, my God. It was glorious.
Yep.
It was glorious. And I sent you the picture of the Hurt Business afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Well, I saw it before you had sent it, but yes. That's
MVP, who looks like he's a godfather.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's everything we wanted and more.
And like you said last week, they're the new Four Horsemen. And
And they proved it.
They are.
Who did Hurt Business take on Monday night also, the tag champs? They would take... Strowman and Pierce.
Yeah.
You want to go there?
Briefly, I mean, basically, Strowman carried the match, and they had Pierce was supposed to be the partner, and Shane McMahon was like, okay, pin him, tag in Pierce. And then Pierce came in and and wound up losing due to the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up.
Yes.
And, I don't know, it looked like Braun was ready to, go American Tourister Gorilla on everybody and every TV screen in that building. So,
well, I agree with a lot of the experts, and like you say, you watch Culture, and I watch Russell Talk. 80% of the Monday Night Raw was drizzling shits. Except for
80% is generous.
Yes, because you had the excellent Drew McIntyre Sheamus match, which was that should have been towards the end of the show instead of, even our friend John said that should have been end of the show kind of quality instead of beginning.
I don't blame them for that because it was a good match. They wanted to get off to a good start, so I don't blame them for that per se. The only two good things about that.
Then the Miz storyline the entire night was the other big one. The rest of it didn't give a rat's ass.
Right.
Didn't give a rat's ass. I'm losing interest very quickly on Alexa Bliss because I'm tired of waiting to pay off. I know we got to wait for the payoff until after Fastlane because we all know he's coming back. We just don't know. Again, I said this before. What iteration of Bray Wyatt?
I hope they don't do. I just hope they don't do a Randy Orton versus a Fiend that looks like Randy Orton. That's what. I don't know how they would be able to do that. A
cinematic match, which if they're still doing it at Thunderdome, they can be a tape show. That could be a tape segment, like that was for the Inferno match.
Right.
And we're watching SmackDown, ladies and germs. And we're watching the Street Profits getting manhandled by the mid-card vortex that is Baron Corbin.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, 80% of the show I didn't give a shit about. I really didn't care. I didn't care. Again, where was Asuka? Then again, she's been nursing a missing tooth.
Right. And Charlotte gave this confusing promo. On one hand, it's like, I want Asuka, I want to beat her at WrestleMania. But the other hand, I'm concerned about her health, and I'm mad at Shayna Baszler, so it was like, yeah, whatever, okay.
And we saw Shayna, what did Russell talk on? Shania?
Mm-hmm.
Shania beating up on Charlotte with nobody coming out to help her.
Right.
And I would, if I was somebody in the back, this is when I would have pulled the trigger on Rhea Ripley. Wouldn't you?
Right, and
because there's this shared history right there.
Well, yeah, you could use in the history too. It's like you could even have somebody use a Bobby Heenan line, but which side is he on? You know?
Yeah.
Or yeah, that could be another thing. You could bring her out. You can turn her heel.
Because she can do it. I've seen Rhea started out as a heel.
Right.
And she was a monster heel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Big Tart Vortex just claimed another victim.
Yeah.
We didn't care about that. What was the other things that were on there? I'm very forgetful.
Yeah, there was a Riddle sighting with the Lucha Jabroni party.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was about it. I mean,
it was a forgetful show. Outside of two things, it was a very forgetful show.
And people weren't so happy about the Bobby Lashley thing. I mean, it probably would have been one. I'm saying if people... No, you didn't hear me correctly. I said if people weren't happy about that, it probably would have been one of the worst episodes of Raw.
Yeah. I don't know. I've seen some bad episodes worse than this.
Yeah, it's true. But, I mean, well, part of the reason it was bad is because it's a repeat of a lot of the bad. It's the same bad. It's the same people booked against each other.
Because you got Bruce
Pritchard. That's like you're seeing on SmackDown right now.
Because you got Bruce Pritchard, Kevin Dunn, and Vince McMahon.
Right.
Or as I call it, the three faces of hell.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Vince can't go back to Memphis to mess with Jerry Lawler like we talked about last week.
Yeah. By the way, thanks for showing me that video. It was really good.
Yep. And folks, if you didn't catch the last episode, I mentioned it at the very end, and I put a link to that video. It was done by another YouTuber I'm a fan of, Wrestle With Regret, so I really enjoy it. He has a lot of good, interesting storylines and comments about past pay-per-views, past wrestlers, different moments in wrestling, that kind of thing. It's Brian Zane. You may know him, especially most recently from Ring of Honor. Yeah. And if you're in the Pacific Northwest, you may know him for wrestling out there, too. He said he was trained by Colonel De Beers out. And Playboy Buddy Rose, yep. So.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Damn, that's those two names I haven't heard in decades.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't give a shit. Then Tuesday night happened, and I got to watch Impact, which, again, it was better show than what Vince put out on Monday night.
Doesn't take much, too, and it's a shame. I tried to give it a chance, but I'm going to have to look at alternate methods, because I tried to cut the cord. Access is not on YouTube TV. If any of you can prove me wrong or show me wrong, okay, but I cannot see it, so Impact, you need to get on a real cable channel. I'm sorry.
They're owned by Anthem, and Access is owned by Anthem also.
Okay, but, well, good for them. They have enough money to get on a real channel.
Oh, yeah.
But
And that's where New Japan was for the longest time too.
Right.
Where they had Jim Ross and
Kevin Kelly for a while.
not Kevin Kelly. The guy who does the blood sports stuff with pay-per-views.
Well, I don't know, but Kevin Kelly was on there for a while.
Kevin Kelly's still on there. Matter of fact, he did the anniversary show last Thursday.
Okay.
And it's interesting to listen to the Japanese commentary because you had Liger's on there, and he sounds like an 85-year-old man.
Right.
He has a really raspy voice in Japanese.
Right.
They're really building up Moose versus Swan.
Right.
And they now recognize the TNA title as a TNA World Heavyweight title. Because D'Amore got tired of Moose beating up everybody.
So what does that mean? Or as far as are they bucking for a second show and maybe just doing like what Raw and SmackDown does? Or
well, remember when Eric Young was there before and he had the global title?
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Okay.
They've always been looking for that third title belt, I think. Mm-hmm. They got Sacrifice coming up next weekend, which has Moose versus Swan, the Battle of the Zoo. I don't know.
Right.
I'm saying Moose is going to beat the living shit out of him.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he doesn't. You know?
We got ODB going after Deonna Purrazzo for the Knockouts title. Or what does ODB call the Knockouts title? The Knocked Up title.
Oof.
Yeah. I say she's going to put Deonna Purrazzo over.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so because she is the veteran, and what's the duty of the veteran to put the younger talent over?
Well,
if you're doing tradition,
right.
And they got to pull the trigger on Black Taurus. That man is amazing to watch. He is amazing to watch. I love the gimmick, even though he's with Decay now, and he's the replacement for Abyss. I think he's way better than Abyss, and it doesn't do all the hardcore shenanigans. They got to pull the trigger on him. They can maybe the next put him in the X Division title picture because remember, it's not about weight limits. It's about no limits with that title. It's like a no weight title.
Do you think it's possible that if they give the belt to Moose and maybe they turn him and have a program with it?
Like Taurus?
Yeah.
I don't know how long they got him because I don't know if this is the guy from Mexico or is this a guy that's got the more trained.
Right.
Under the gimmick. I don't know if they own the gimmick in AAA. It's something new. It looks like they're breaking up Jessica Havoc and Nevaeh, and Tennille Dashwood's trying to lure Jessica Havoc to be her partner.
Okay.
If you don't know who Tennille Dashwood is, it's Emma from the WWE. And she's got like, I wouldn't say a manager, she says her personal photographer. It's Caleb Connolly from NWA. It's Caleb with a K.
Right.
That's how he's announced as. Caleb with a K. They did do that little bullshit with the casino thing with Johnny Swinger, but it was like less than 5 minutes. I know you don't like that. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't know. And I found out who's the head of creative is Jimmy Jacobs. It's Jimmy Jacobs, Tommy Dreamer, and Scott D'Amore.
Okay.
And D'Amore is still running things, even though I think Callis is still phoning it in. I don't know if Callis is still there helping him run. But again, Impact for as a small company as it is, I was better entertained watching their matches than watching Raw.
I think most people are, unfortunately. You know, it's not just because it's just Raw. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, it's 99 2000s Nitro horrible. It's it's Herb Abrams UWF horrible. It is bad. Bad. Bad WWE. Here's my rolled up newspaper. Bad WWE. Anyway.
Well, I just read this before we were on air that Hard to Kill, the last pay-per-view, got significant buy rates. That's something to say about a company that's not even drawing maybe 300,000 viewers for a TV show. That's saying something. Maybe because they're getting the rub. Kenny Omega was the main event.
Well, yeah, it's AEW.
They're getting the rub from AEW.
Right.
Yeah. And that's pretty much non-existent on Impact now. You don't see Matt Hardy, even though you see Tony Khan on the paid ads, and Tony Schiavone. Other than that, you don't see much AEW guys on there except for the Good Brothers.
And part of me thinks that's the way it should be, unless you got to do it one way or the other. You're either got to have companies invading each other, or don't do it at all. You can't do it half-assed. It's
well, like I said, they're waiting for the travel restrictions to be done because vaccinations are being done right now.
Yeah,
and we don't know how they're doing it in Japan. Like I said, if the travel restrictions are lifted, you're going to see that New Japan invasion of either company.
right.
And FinJuice actually teamed up with the Good Brothers against Larry X, Team Triple XL, and Reno Scum.
Okay.
Which now we're going to have FinJuice against the Good Brothers at Sacrifice next week.
Okay.
Which I think has already been taped in the can because they were at the New Japan shows today. Or yesterday for the anniversary show. That means they did the 2 weeks quarantine.
Okay.
So I think they taped 2 months of TV already for Impact. Because that's to them, I think it's cheaper and more effective for them.
No, I mean, a lot of companies have done it. The company we're watching did it for a long time.
Yeah.
Really, they've been doing it for decades until Nitro, really.
Yeah. Well, remember, Raw was like every other week was live, and that's when Eric Bischoff did the spoiler thing when Mick Foley won the title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's your hero for that, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm predicting Good Brothers are going to contain a sacrifice. I'm saying Moose is going to kill Swan.
Mm-hmm.
I think Deanna Perez is going to keep her title.
Right.
I forgot who the Knockouts Tag Champs are taking on. Hogan and Steels. I forgot who they're taking on, but I could look it up, and you can put the link on there. And Sammy Callahan versus Eddie Edwards. Not Eddie Edwards, against Trey Miguel from the Rascals.
Right.
And that looked... matter of fact, they did a whole video segment where Sammy went into Trey's school in Ohio and beat up his students.
Oh, okay. Well, it's interesting you mentioned Sammy, and you mentioned earlier that I listened to What Culture. Because it looks like Sammy is trying once again to start an angle with Simon Miller. Before COVID, he was supposed to wrestle him on WrestleMania.
Callahan?
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Oh, God.
it's like they've been doing the hacker gimmick on the Impact version of Ups and Downs, and it finally got to the point where Callahan hacked completely, and he had the whole scoreboard behind him, and he changed all of Simon Miller's downs into ups. Now I control everything, do something about it, Miller, that kind of...
Well, he did the hacker gimmick in NXT when it was Solomon Crow, but they let him go because we had nothing for you to do.
Right.
Then he's doing that gimmick in Impact now under the Sammy Callahan name, which I always did like. Again, I hate Sam Johnson the person because I know what kind of person he is. But Sammy Callahan, the wrestler and the character, I like. It's hard. It's a catch-22 thing.
Right.
Speaking of catch-22,
oh boy, it's Augie and Daddy. Augie,
yeah. Third generation.
619, not mine. Anyway, yeah.
We can talk about Wednesday night now.
We can talk about Wednesday night. Which Wednesday do you want to talk about?
I want to do NXT first because you watched it. You watch AEW on Wednesday nights. I watch NXT on Wednesday nights, and I watch AEW on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
The tag title match, the women's tag title match, which is confusing to me. I don't know what they're going to do with this. It's mind-blowing what they did. For those who don't know, the winners of the Women's Dusty Cup Classic was Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. You like Gonzalez and Kai? I like Gonzalez and Kai. Get a tag title shot against Shania in the women's tag titles, which are defended on all three brands.
The whole raccoon, yeah.
The whole raccoon, yeah. Dakota was tagged out to Raquel. Her and Shania rolled over the top rope and accidentally, the female referee did the referee bump. She's knocked out. Nia and Raquel are all over the announce table, beating shit out of each other. Out comes Adam Pearce on NXT, bringing down a Raw referee, and while Dakota was in a Karafuda clutch, the referee said Dakota was out, keeps the title, and Shania keeps the title, even though Dakota was not the legal person. They kept on bringing it up. The announcers kept on bringing it up. Vic Joseph, Wade Barrett, and Beth Phoenix all brought it up.
Right.
They did a little segment off mic where you see Adam Pearce in a closed room with William Regal going at it verbally. William Regal said this Wednesday night he's going to make a special announcement which will change the landscape of NXT. We don't know what that's going to be.
It'll be me and a mystery partner against you and Shane McMahon. I'll make it simple for you, gentlemen. War games. That's his solution for everything. As soon as there's a big kerfuffle, he makes another War Games match. Good for William Regal.
I like William Regal's general manager role. I think, again, better than what we used to be seeing on Fridays and Monday nights.
Right.
The main event had Roderick Strong versus Finn Balor, and they beat the living tar out of each other.
As they usually do.
Yeah. And after that, Adam Cole's on the stage, just berating both of them again.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get on TakeOver. No, we're going to get it next week. We're going to get an NXT title match, Adam Cole versus Finn Balor, next week.
Mm.
Do you see a title switch on regular NXT TV?
It could be for this reason.
Because AEW's beating them in the ratings?
No, well, not only that, but what will NXT be doing in the very near future?
Moving to Tuesday nights.
So they're giving a reason to switch to Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Which could hurt your longtime friends, my new friends at Impact.
Yeah.
So.
Because when they did that Tuesday night show, I think during the hockey playoffs,
mm-hmm.
they killed Impact in the ratings. They killed them. I mean, they drew all the Impact viewers to them.
Right, and that's why you're seeing, and it has nothing to do really with AEW's ratings. They are, NBC, Universal currently has a sports network called NBC Sports Network, and on every Wednesday they air a National Hockey League game. They call it Wednesday Night Hockey, Wednesday Night Rivals, whatever. Yeah. Well, that network will soon be folded, and Peacock will be taking a lot of their programming over, and a lot of the sports network programming will also be moved to the USA Network.
Yeah,
so as a result, NXT will be on Tuesdays as opposed to Wednesdays, and which leads me to believe AEW's not completely in the clear because TNT is part of the college basketball coverage as well as the NBA. Yeah. So they're going to get slam dunk, and not just by Shaq as they were this past week.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But NXT, solid show. Cameron Grimes is doing the redneck Ted DiBiase gimmick to the hilt.
Yeah, he's funny.
I forgot what he took on somebody, and he tried to pay the referee. He tried to pay somebody off, and somebody I forgot what it was all about. But what I saw was pretty good, and we have the first feud for L.A. Knight. Yeah, dummy.
Yeah.
It's going to be against the Colossal Bronson Reed.
And apparently he's been reading the Miz's playbook as far as how to feud with somebody that should be able to take your part and fold you into an accordion.
Yeah. Because, who did Bronson... I think Bronson took on Swerve Scott. Mm-hmm. And Knight interfered in that match. I remember that because Bronson was on the top turnbuckle. Mm-hmm. And I think he pushed Bronson off.
Right.
He got a loudmouth from Hagerstown against a big colossal man from, what was it, New Zealand or Australia? He's an Aussie, I think.
Right.
I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see that happen. I'm not a big fan of when he was Eli Drake in the ring because he tried to emulate The Rock too much.
I think he changed that up a little bit in NWA Power, honestly.
Yeah. But. He still had the same loudmouth gimmick.
Yeah, he had a loudmouth gimmick. What I didn't like about him in Power, though, it seemed like they couldn't decide whether to book him as a babyface or a heel. He was kind of a tweener there, but not in a smart way, though.
Well, remember
towards the end, he was a babyface there.
Well, I remember that one episode where they were doing a beer celebration with the Beer City Bruisers, and he threw his beer out.
Right.
Because he don't drink. Mm-hmm. like I said, it was a good show. Other than I don't know what the hell they're doing with the women's tag title match. And I figured they would have maybe a rematch down the road, maybe at Fastlane. Yeah, we're getting a woman. This was announced yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are defending the tag titles at Fastlane, but not against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. It's going to be against Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks again.
Well, you might see some NXT interrupt us.
Some chicanery going on?
Yes.
Because, again, I've been saying this. They're building around Raquel Gonzalez, and I've noticed that a lot lately.
Right.
Because because Rhea's gone, she could be their new monster. She could be not what Nia was there. She could be what Shayna was there. She could be what Rhea was there. I mean, they need a monster there. And she could be their monster. I saw that woman drop kick. I never seen her leave her feet.
Right.
And she's very, very fluid in the ring. And I think, and she's got a lot of growing to do. I think she's, like I said last time, spend more time in the oven down there.
Mm-hmm.
But, and Dakota Kai, do you think you'll ever call her up or keep her down there?
It's hard to say. I think eventually they'll call her up. I don't know if they'll do it immediately.
Yeah. With Raquel or without Raquel?
Probably without. They'll probably break them up. Because it's WWE.
Yeah, and Vince hates tag teams.
Yeah. And he really doesn't even like women in wrestling unless it's in a gravy boat and white panties, you know.
Yeah. Or unless your name is Charlotte or Ronda.
Right.
But you want to get to the other show on tonight? You watched it before I did? And
I do.
And the huge show up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Big Show made an announcement that prior to Revolution, there is going to be a new acquisition, a Hall of Fame caliber acquisition. There's been speculation as far as who that might be. I have a feeling it's going to be somebody with Impact ties.
Well, you said the four names. It'd be Christian,
mm-hmm.
Kurt Angle,
Rob Van Dam,
or Bully Ray.
Yeah, out of the three, I think Bully Ray will be the least likely. I just have a hunch. I don't have.
Last time I heard, he was kind of doing one of the booking committee on Ring of Honor.
Right.
So that's a maybe, if not. Mm-hmm. Kurt Angle, he was one of the people they released on Black Friday. What was it? Black Friday, Black April.
Mm-hmm.
That day in April. He was one of the guys they got rid of. Christian, he was at the Rumble.
Yeah.
And there was rumors going around that he was returning to the ring full time. Here, we don't know about that. Rob Van Dam, they got that Icons thing coming out, so I doubt it's him.
Right.
That is the best swing I ever saw in my life. He swung him right off his jacket.
And when we recorded last time, folks, we were watching this without the sound, and now listening to the sound later. Oh my God. Seth Rollins was hilarious with that. It reminded me of a house show you and I went to, Chris. If you remember back in the day, we went with our friend Dutch to a WWE house show. And he had Mick Foley's Dude Love. He was tagging with Steve Austin against, I think, China and Triple H.
Yeah.
And he had the mic with him, and it's like, I forget, either Triple H or China was hitting him. You heard him say, "Ow, ow, ow, Daddy," with the microphone. Even Steve Austin, broke character and was laughing his ass off. But it was like, you know.
What? What?
That was long before the what, you know.
What? Oh, thank you. Hello, Kayla.
Yeah.
But AEW, Jade Cargill, robotic in her promos. I don't think she's that good in the ring at all.
Yeah, I mean, she looks like a Terminator. I mean, she's strong. I think she just needs some work. She needs some experience. Unfortunately, women don't get enough reps in that company.
Is she a Nightmare Academy girl?
I have no idea. She's a scary-looking woman, that's all I know.
Uh-oh.
We have a Murphy sighting, yeah.
The world wrestling's best kept secret as he goes under his Twitter handle.
Right. Okay, back to AEW, though.
Yeah.
But, what do you think of Shaq's performance in that, though?
The funny thing I love is when he did the powerbomb and just the hell Kevin Nash putting the cigarette thing out was amazing. I laughed my ass off when I saw that.
He was much better, and I thought AEW did what they should have done with a big guy with limited ability, make him look like King Kong. And that is exactly what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he was trashing people all over the place. I mean, he's a natural athlete, and he's still a big dude, even though he's retired in the NPA. I mean, he looks like he could be an old school video game fight boss. I mean,
he is
ridiculous.
48 years old, 7'1", and what was his weight they announced him as Wednesday night? 385?
Yeah, maybe add another 20 pounds to that, but it doesn't matter because, I mean, as Jim Cornette likes to call that company sometimes, all petite wrestling, and everybody there.
Oh, damn!
They're showing a replay on SmackDown of Asuka losing her tooth.
Oh yeah!
She's gonna be the new Chris Benoit, Toothless Aggression. But anyway, no, but I liked how they did it, and him taking a table bump. I mean,
I read, because I didn't watch it live like you did. I read it was 2 tables. Then I watched it back. And it was like it's 1 table.
No, it was 2 tables side to side. What had happened was the women were setting it up first. First, Red Velvet set up a table. No. Jade set up the table first, and then she tried to put Red Velvet through, and Red Velvet fought her off. Then Red Velvet got out of the ring and put a second table there, and they were trying to set it up for one of the women to go through, but it wound up basically Shaq attacking the 2 tables.
Yeah.
But what was really weird about that match, Chris, was at the end, okay, you knew that they weren't going to have Cody pinned. They were going to have Shaq pinned. Yeah. So they had Red Velvet, who lost a lot of matches on Dark, anyway.
Yeah,
so
she's a prelim girl.
But I tell you what, though, my goodness, I wish I had a glass of milk and a fork for that Red Velvet. I tell you what, okay.
Down boy.
Yeah. Okay, maybe later. No, but no. What was weird though is they put Shaq in the ambulance, and then Tony Schiavone goes to interview him. No one was there, and you never saw anything about that since.
He poofed.
Right. I mean, does he have fiend powers or what? I mean,
he performs Shaq Fu.
Right.
He's a Shaq ninja. I don't know.
Yeah. The Shaq Fly Funhouse, I guess. I don't know.
Shaq Fly Funhouse. It was a serviceable match. You have Cody. He's probably one of the best workers in the business. Mm-hmm. He was the ring general in that whole match.
Oh, of course he was. And wouldn't surprise me if Arn was giving him some hints too.
Big time, yeah. You know that Arn was there. Now, do you want to talk about the other big thing that we saw on AEW?
Well, there's a few things there. What are you referring to?
That's when somebody had a certain hand cramp. His hand kept on cramping up and saying 4 fingers up.
Oh, yeah. Well, we saw Arn come out at the end of a tag match between Jurassic Express and FTR with not only with Tully Blanchard, but being escorted by Mr. James J. Dillon.
And you noticed the belts they were wearing?
Yes. They were old WCW tag belts.
They were old NWA belts.
Okay, but, I mean, they wore them in WCW as well. And it was an old U.S. title, which I didn't know. At first, when I saw it, I thought it was an old World Television title because of the collar.
So was I, yeah.
But I was told it was an old U.S. title. But
that was the one he beat Magnum for.
Right.
I thought because we lost somebody big in the business this week. We lost Jim Crockett Jr. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace. Right. The man who put the NWA on the map, basically, when he expanded nationwide.
Right.
I thought it was a tribute to Jim Crockett when they did that.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, most definitely.
Even though we didn't hear about his passing until Thursday.
And that reminds me of something I want to get to later on with AEW, a little remark by the not-so-young Bucks, but it's kind of pissed me off. But anyway.
Well, yeah, I'll get to that.
You had this match, and ultimately, if I'm not mistaken, the FTR wound up winning.
Yeah.
And this is what cracked me up, though.
Marco?
Well, 2 things. 2 things with Tully Blanchard. That was one. Well, the first thing with Tully Blanchard acted like he was going to do a dive like everybody else does in that company, and then he just
did the Fargo strut.
Fargo strut, yeah. When he picked up Marco's stunt and gave him a slingshot suplex, even though Tully Blanchard,
68 years old,
and was supposedly the heel, and supposedly everybody in AEW loves Marco's stunt except for us, most wrestling fans over 40 who casually watch AEW and are just tired of this indie, bar wrestling bullshit that they usually put on. People were cheering and chanting his name. Maybe
people are getting tired of Marco.
People have been tired of Marco, and it's just a deal of, them pushing this stuff down people's throat. I mean, there are some fans that genuinely do like him, but there are a lot that think basically he has Rio disease. He's too small to be in there.
Well, Luchasaurus is a great talent. Jungle Boy's coming on to his own. Shaq Perry's coming on to his own.
Definitely, I agree. I think it should just be those two. If it was those two, it would be... those two together remind me of... You remember back in the 80s in WWE, you had Snuka and Andre the Giant.
Yes.
Where you had an acrobatic guy who wasn't really small, but compared to Andre, he was. And then you had a giant in his corner. So... That's what I think they should book those two as, just to make them both look strong. And keep that little run, I don't know, get them in a feud with -1 or something, I don't know, or just...
Well, we had a negative, speaking of which, we did have a -1 sighting Wednesday night.
Right.
With the Dark Order.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that later, yeah. But with this match, though, I mean, what you were referring to with the hand cramp, after... They were doing their Four Horsemen salute. Arn Anderson came out and...
counted how many people were in the ring.
Yeah, and he did the salute as well. So
who was that fourth person? The person we haven't seen in a while? Shawn Spears.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. That's how... Yep, and that is exactly how FTR won. They won with interference from...
Shawn Spears.
Yes, who was originally thought to be a masked cameraman. But it turned out to be... Shawn Spears is back, so...
Shawn Spears is back, and... What'd you think of him as, even when he was, what was his name in,
Perfect 10 or something?
The Perfect 10, Ty something.
Ty Dillinger, I think it was?
Ty Dillinger.
Yeah.
When they didn't know what to do from here.
Right. Well, I mean, they don't know what to do with a lot of people, though. I mean, as much as we criticize Vince McMahon, I mean, they have some people... There was a time when he did know how to book people, all right? And everybody has his misses. But, unfortunately, AEW, they still book... They don't book like they're on national TV, and even before COVID, they were playing in,
small venues.
Well, they were... No, AEW was. Dynamite was actually in big venues. They were actually in NBA, NHL arenas.
They were in Verizon Center down in D.C.
That was their very first
Dynamite. They sold out the building.
Right. And they had their Fighter Fest, their tomfoolery and hijinks with the barbed wire.
Yeah.
And which would be the last place I would ever expect it to see, but, Well,
speaking of barbed wire, you want to talk about it?
Let's hear to talk about it. It's just a stupid promo where he's building an elimination chamber, he's calling it. It's like a rib on WWE. But Moxley cut this promo about saying, if he might not come back, and if he doesn't come back, this would be a good way to go out. And you said off the air you think he could be hinting that he could be spending time with...
Or his wife, who's going to be giving birth very soon.
Right.
That she wrote something on Twitter today, says she might be posting bikini pics while pregnant because she said something about stop putting women in a box. Knowing Renee Young, she would do it. She's a smart ass. She would do it.
Right. Speaking of women in a box, we had the finals of the women's #1 contender tournament, whatever they call it.
The Eliminator tournament.
You had Nyla Rose versus another Riho.
I forgot her name.
Yeah.
Rio something. But she's better built for the business than little 90-pound Rio.
And, she's better built than a lot of the men there. And, I know.
It was a good match. It was a very good match.
It was a good match, and surprisingly, I expected Nyla Rose to win and get a rematch against Shida.
The thing is, do you want to see another Shida Nyla Rose match?
Not really, but I'm not so sure I want to see her other opponent. I understand they have a history in Japan. They're supposedly friends and all this stuff, although they had a nice little slap fest at the end.
Yeah.
But, not... And at the end of that match, Shida presented Big Rio Sr. with the trophy, and then they were talking smack in Japanese and slapping each other and setting up...
Turn it into a Japanese slap fight.
Right.
Speaking of Japanese, I want to go back to the barbed wire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Onita. Seeing Onita on there, and they're showing the highlights from FMW. I'm like, holy shit, they got Onita.
Right.
Like I said, Onita came over a few years back for a CCW special show.
Uh-huh.
I met him. Seemed like a nice guy. His English is not the best in the world because I think he never learned it.
Right.
But you saw the promo. What did you think of the promo promoting the barbed wire match?
I thought it was good. He was praising them for the new stipulations for the new match.
Yeah.
And, it tried to lend it some credibility,
Yeah.
so...
Because you had the king of the Japanese death matches.
Right. Because, they may have been taking some criticism to heart. There was AEW caught a lot of criticism, and this is my biggest problem with AEW. They think they are, so... Excalibur and some of these people are so far in their indie bubble, they think everybody in the world knows about the Japanese death matches. And most people who, stopped watching wrestling after Ultimate Warrior had the belt, don't know what the hell they're talking about.
And everybody, we know Luther was in Big Japan doing death matches. No, we don't.
Right. And they also count on the mystique of Japan, thinking, most people think of Japanese wrestling, they think of Tiger Mask, they think of All Japan, they think of New Japan with the Bullet Club, and they go like the big companies there. They don't realize that Japan has their own versions of, CZW and...
Big Japan, FMW, before I heard Onita started.
They have,
IWA.
Smaller outlaw independents over there, okay?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where they're getting a lot of their talent. They're getting their shogi, these Japanese women feds that are small for their standards. They're getting these comedy federations that are their bars and Guerrilla Pro Wrestling and all that kind of crap.
Well, from what I'm hearing, they're actually looking at Dragon Gate because Dragon Gate's promoting shows again.
Okay, they've done a lot of independent shows here, but that's the problem. It's an independent show. New Japan
is the biggest promotion in Japan.
Right, and they're the second biggest in the world.
Next to Vince.
Right.
And like I said, it's New Japan. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
FMW is back. From what I understand, Onita's running it again.
Right.
We're going to go to the dark side of the ring again and see what they're going to say about FMW. We don't know what they're going to say about FMW. I didn't even know there was something wrong with that company. Maybe because of the death matches?
And probably the death matches. There's probably a lot of underground stuff.
Stuff we didn't know about? The
Yeah.
chicane, maybe I'm hearing Yakuza ties?
Mm-hmm. That's a big possibility.
Yeah.
But let me get to what the Young Bucks had said.
Up to Jericho?
Yeah, they called out Jericho and MJF, and basically they said something about, you're insulting our father, he's the greatest dad and all that, and because of that, we wouldn't be the Young Bucks if it weren't for him, and there wouldn't be an AEW without the Young Bucks. Bullshit. There wouldn't be an AEW if there wasn't an NWA or Jim Crockett,
Jim Crockett or Vern Gagne.
Mm-hmm.
Know your history.
Right.
What do you think what they said to Jericho? If it wasn't for us, you'd be curtain jerking at the Performance Center. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, probably right.
Yeah.
Well, mentioning the Young Bucks, you came across a bit of news today which has a lot of people thinking of the Young Bucks about what they like to do with their super kick.
Yeah, apparently the WWE is now finding people who are slapping their knees while doing kicks. This goes back to what Randy Orton was saying about NXT a couple months ago on Twitter about slapping the knees.
Yeah.
This has finally reached Mount Olympus and Odin and Zeus himself, Vince McMahon.
Right.
So, do you think this is fair?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of surprised they're acknowledging that because that's kind of like exposing the business. But WWE's done that before with a lot of
Tajiri's been doing it for years.
I was going to... Tajiri, also probably Shinsuke's been doing that a lot.
Yeah. The NXT guys have been doing it for a while.
Anybody does a super kick.
Anybody does a kick in general. I mean, they slapped the knee. I mean, we've seen it in the ECW way back in the day.
Right.
When Shawn Michaels has been doing it.
He probably
invented it. Probably.
Yeah, that's what I think.
It's ridiculous. This is another thing to prove that they're trying to get more control over their people. The third party thing was bad enough. Now they're doing this. And now they're saying, and I said this on the last show or 2 shows ago, and WrestleVotes reconfirmed it. They are now going after that. You can't on your Twitter account. You can't mention any third party whatsoever on your social media at all, and that's stupid.
Right.
You agree?
Yeah, and again, there's the double standard with WWE. It's like, yeah, we're independent contractors, pal. That's why we're not going to give you any benefits. But you can't you have to sign contracts with us, and you can't go do any side hustles while you're wrestling with us and all this other stuff. So, yeah.
Then explain why Bruce Pritchard still has his podcast. Because he's Bruce Pritchard and he's Vince McMahon's second right now?
Well, they're probably getting money off of it. They probably might have bought it behind the scenes, kind of like they did with Stone Cold. So,
going back to AEW, what did you think of the press conference and Sleazy E showing up again?
Yeah, Sleazy E. You had
Conrad Thompson,
and Thompson,
and the was it Barstool Sports?
Yeah, Barstool Sports. And I had heard MJF say this in other interviews on YouTube, but it's maybe the first time I've heard in mainstream American wrestling television the word turkey tits.
Yeah, he called it turkey. Again, whenever it's social, he lives his gimmick so hardcore. He did an online interview, I forget, with one of the guys from Wrestle Talk and somebody else, and somebody mentioned the name of Sammy Guevara, and MJF went off on the guy. They had to beep out most of the shit he said.
Oh God!
Oh God! He's living that gimmick to the full extent, and God bless him for it.
And you reminded me of something else with the Young Bucks. Something I actually liked that they said. They mentioned that basically said if it weren't for AEW, you'd be waiing for a call to get back on the
Rosie O'Donnell show. Yes,
that was pretty good.
Which one was it that said about Nick Jackson and his fading hairline? Was it MJF?
I think it was MJF.
Yeah, and I forgot what he called Matt Jackson. And from what I understand, that match at the pay-per-view is going to open the show. The buy-in is going to be Rebel and
Britt Baker
against Little Rio and Thunder Rosa. So I know you love Thunder. I love Rosa. You love Rosa, but you might team her up with her.
Well, I'm not a fan of that per se, but I think that match should be higher up on the card myself.
Back on the main show?
Yeah, because I guess they figured they didn't want to do another, stupid battle royal based on play card suits, I guess.
Well, we got the Casino Battle Royal for tag teams now. They're going to be doing that Sunday night. Yeah. So I don't know who's going to be in it. When are we going to eventually get the Young Bucks versus Good Brothers?
Well, what's the next pay-per-view after Revolution, you think?
Maybe Double or Nothing?
Probably.
Well, that's in May, I think?
Yeah, because, you figure they got to do something with that soon. They can't wait until
Well,
they can't wait till COVID and the real Bullet Club shows up from Japan. You know, I mean.
Well, did you notice that the Good Brothers helped out the Jacksons when they start beating up on the Inner Circle?
They're rehashing the thing with MJF when that company started, where MJF was an asshole to everybody else, but he was a friend to Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And eventually that's going to happen. You know,
Yeah.
They're going to turn on the Balding Bucks, but yeah.
Yeah. And eventually, when the travel restrictions got done, again, Tama Tonga on Twitter, he is hysterical on Twitter. He's really going after the Bucks, Omega, and the Good Brothers. Mm-hmm. He called them the Good Sisters. And he still called them Kenny Omega, Kenny Oshmega.
Right.
And I think he called the Young Bucks the Young Fucks.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one, but anyway. You know.
But I asked you this before, I think I forgot your response. When the restrictions are lifted, and they do live in California,
yeah,
but they've been doing a lot of New Japan stuff, so they got to go through the quarantine. Who should they go after first? Should they go to Impact and go after the Good Brothers, or go after the Bucks?
Go after the Bucks. AEW is on a real network with a lot more viewers. So yeah, go after them. Yeah.
But that and who else? Who else would you like to see Would you like to see Jay White come, or would you like to see our favorite crazy old man?
I'll see them both. I'd also like to see Mr. V. Priestley come as well.
Oh, Will Ospreay?
Yes.
Bring Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan. They're called the Empire there.
Right.
As a matter of fact,
Jeff Cobb was there for a little bit.
Yeah, Jeff Cobb's part of the Empire, the Empire faction, with Khan and Ospreay. Khan had a match at the anniversary show versus Naito and made Naito tap in a reverse figure four. Held it on him for 3 or 4 minutes.
Right.
And look, the match again told a story. Great O'Khan, if you've never seen this guy, he's Japanese, but they're pulling him off as a Mongolian ancestry to Genghis Khan. Mm-hmm. And he's even doing the Mongolian chops. Which, do you remember Tenzan?
Sounds familiar.
Tenzan from the old NWO Japan faction. Mm-hmm. Tenzan's banned from doing Mongolian chops because he lost a match against Great O'Khan. Mm-hmm. Kota Ibushi defended both titles against the new junior heavyweight champion El Desperado. And did you hear what New Japan's doing with the belts?
No.
New Japan has dropped the IC belt altogether. It's merging with the regular heavyweight title. Now they're calling it the World Heavyweight title. And it's never been a world title. That title's been around since 1972. It's just been called the IWGP Heavyweight title ever since Inoki had it.
Right.
Do you think it's the right call?
Why not?
Why not? For a world title, mostly in Japan. Mm-hmm. And I know they want to get their foot in the American market. They've been wanting to get their foot in the American market. They were supposed to have that garden show before COVID shut the world down.
Well, they got their foot in the American shopping mall, so yeah.
Yeah, well, not them. Well, they're going for Pro Wrestling Tees. I think they're going
through Pro Wrestling Tees now, but I mean, for a while they were selling their stuff. And
if you go to the New Japan shop, they have all their gear on there. Everything's on there. Sorry, I got distracted. I got something in my eye.
Yeah.
Me, Tarzan.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think? What do you, even though this is going to be probably airing after the pay-per-view, do you see any significant things coming out of the pay-per-view Sunday? That we can safely talk about?
Well, I don't want to make any predictions because this will probably air after the pay-per-view. Yeah. So that's why I don't. That's why I want to maybe even record on a different day. Recording on Fridays kind of makes it tough. Yeah.
But we're watching SmackDown right now. Again, we're probably watching the better of the two shows. Mm-hmm. We just saw a Cesaro match against the return of Bernie Murphy. Somebody saw him on the side of a milk carton.
Right.
And told him, and probably freed him from whatever hell Vince put him in. Mm. We're going to
could just be paid time off. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, you asked about the last show about Aaliyah. Aaliyah's going to college.
Right.
we don't know if she caught the bug like her brother did. If she caught the bug like her brother, I could see her coming back in 3 years after the college. I don't. Well, it depends on what courses she's taking and if she's going after more degrees.
Right.
They were getting ready to launch Buddy Murphy to the moon, and all of a sudden that got halted for this. Then again, the 3-week push. Something I wanted to talk about that I showed you this week, Paige did on Twitter, which is the ultimate troll job that I ever saw in my life.
Okay.
For those who don't know, do you want to describe OnlyFans to them? OnlyFans is basically a site for women to earn extra money. Usually adult entertainers use it. Zelina Vega is on there and doing it basically to promote her cosplay.
Right.
A cheerleader, Melissa, which I talked to, she puts pictures up, and me and her have been having nice long conversations. She actually wants to watch New Japan. Me and her talk about it. Paige got on Twitter and basically said, I'm going to set I set up an OF account. She put a link on. When you click on this link, it's OnlyFans, all right, with air conditioners and heaters.
Oh, yeah.
And I laughed my ass off, and she just trolled every little horny fanboy out there who hasn't seen the leaked hacked videos.
Well, you say you laughed, but you were crying at first. It's like,
and Renee
you spent all that money on cocoa lotion too, Chris. I feel bad for you.
No,
anyway.
and the beauty part of this is Renee Young goes on Twitter and calls Paige an asshole.
Yeah.
That's like she trolled everybody. And remember, she's at home in London during the middle of another lockdown.
Right.
She's bored. What do you think she's going to do when she's bored? She's going to be fucking with people.
Yeah. That's interesting. I want to talk about one other thing. I forget whether... About
this?
No.
Okay.
About one thing that happened in MLW. I don't remember if you talked to me about this off the air or during our last recording. About the wrestler Jordan Oliver, which, yes, I had seen before. I mean, I've seen a couple, including a couple of pay-per-views he gave me from CCW. He was in a faction called Young, Dumb, and Broke.
Yeah, and he's also in GCW.
Yeah. Well, he had a title match against Jimmy Fatu from Contra Unit.
You told me this last time, yeah.
Well, no. Well, they had the title match Wednesday.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you that because we recorded it before they aired it, even though they probably aired their stuff a while back. Jamari, by the way, he's the guy from Contra Unit, I think is in, or Rivari in Impact.
Fuck?
Yeah, it's...
Apollo Crews has now got militia members. He's carrying a spear. It's his Nigerian roots, he says.
Yeah, it's Nation of Domination 2.0, probably. But
yeah, Vince is not racist.
So anyway, they had in that card earlier on 2 members of Contra Unit go against Los Parks for the tag team belt.
Yeah. And
Jordan Oliver and Myron Reed of Injustice interfered in that match, leading to the title match. And Jamie Fatu basically made Jordan Oliver into Salisbury's day. He beat the crap out of him. I mean, Jordan Oliver tried to come back for a little bit, but give me a break. I mean, Oliver's cutting all these promos saying, I've been bulking up, I'm training, I'm not that lightweight.
He's no bigger than I am.
Well, he said he bulked up and he's now heavy. Yeah, he basically went from 179 to like 199.99. Okay, I'm 200 pounds. I'm a heavyweight now.
Yeah,
no.
Bullshit. You're still on 205 Live.
Jamie Fatu probably eats rib platters bigger than Jordan Oliver. So basically he won, and he brought the rest of Contra Unit. He brought Simon Gotch. He brought Jamari. He brought...
Simon Gotch is in MLW now?
Yeah, he's been there for a while. Okay. He's in that company for... And yeah, he brought the quote-unquote Contra Senton Death Squad, which... Or kind of like... They're kind of like, if you remember the NWO, like the jabroni parts of the NWO. Yeah. They're kind of like those guys. Well, what they usually do when they attack afterwards, they came out with Contra flags, they came out with body bags, and tried to put both members of Injustice in the Body Bags, and they're going to take them out like they've done with other people in the past. But then they were saved by this wrestler named Tankman, who he is a man who looks like a tank. He kind of looks like a young Mark Henry. He's big.
He's a big boy, huh?
And he's going after Fatu for the title there.
So you got a hoss fight.
You got a hoss fight, yes.
Okay.
They need a hoss fight. All right.
So right now we're seeing Apollo Crews
cutting a promo with a spear in his hand and
just Nigerian colors and
we're just reading the caption. He said people don't accept me and our so-called friends are mocking me. Okay, whatever.
Well, I only seen him once in Dragon Gate as Yuan Nation, and I don't know what his gimmick was in Dragon Gate.
Yeah.
Then again, if you've never seen a Dragon Gate show before, it's two guys in the beginning of the show coming up to the entrance theme. Then it comes into a clusterfuck, the next match. Clusterfuck, next match. Clusterfuck, next match. And it's bang, 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 bang. And all the matches run into each other.
Kind of like some ECW shows we used to go to.
Yeah. I miss those days.
Yeah.
But that's when we saw Sabu for one of these shows. And we actually dragged our friend Miss Bev. Me and my friend Joel dragged Miss Bev to meet Sabu.
Yes.
Would you believe she clammed up?
Well, she was hungry for some food.
Yeah, and she actually shook Sabu's hand. And the thing is, again, Sabu doesn't talk. He doesn't like talking at all. That's not a gimmick. He doesn't like talking. He's a very quiet guy. But if you ever watched the shoot interview from You Shoot, from was it Kayfabe?
Yeah.
That's the most I've ever heard him speak, ever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, part of it was his gimmick, too. Supposedly he was from... He tried to play it off as a foreign heel that didn't speak English, kind of like Abdullah. So, I mean, it was that kind of thing, so...
Yeah. So what else you want to cover, my friend?
Trying to think what else. So...
We got Sacrifice. Tomorrow night I'm watching UFC, so...
Yeah. Okay. What? Wait a minute. You're choosing something over Impact? You?
Well, Impact's next week.
Oh, okay.
And I got New Japan. Going back to New Japan, the New Japan Cup is happening right now. The winner of this, it's a single elimination tournament, unlike G1 where it has points. Mm-hmm. The winner of this tournament gets the title shot against a champion of their choosing. Not because they have, it's like, there's a belt for everything here. I mean, you got the heavyweight title. You got the U.S. title for Moxley. You got the never open weight title, which any weight class can go and challenge for this title. Mm-hmm. Whether you're junior heavyweight or heavyweight. You got the junior tag titles. You got the heavyweight tag titles. You got the never open weight 6-man tag titles. I mean, there's belts for everyone. It's like, remember back in the old days when NWA had a fucking title for everybody? Mm-hmm. You had the national tag titles, U.S. tag title. I mean, everybody had a title. It's kind of like that in New Japan.
Yeah. And I'm just noticing watching SmackDown now. Tamina's actually in a different outfit. She's actually
dressed like a heart.
Yeah, she's dressed like a heart, and she's actually bearing her arms. I mean, usually nobody's steamier than Tamina, you know, and that black latex leather thing, whatever it is.
We go from Fijian to for Samoan. Mm. But again, even back before the Bullet Club versus Bullet Club Twitter war, you know who the Tongans called out next?
Who?
They called out the Usos. When the Usos were running red hot on here. And they said, there's no door here. There's no fence here. You can come on over. We're going to beat the shit out of you. You come on over.
Okay, but you know what? Why would they do that? I mean, the Usos are getting paid, and, you know, they... Plus, you know, one of them has their wife with them. Why, you know...
Which one's married to, Naomi?
I think it was Jimmy. I could be wrong.
And the thing is, Vince doesn't like breaking up couples. Naomi's on Raw. If Jimmy's coming back, he's going to be on SmackDown.
Right.
So how do you explain that?
Well, I mean, then you can counter that with Flair and you know, Andrade, who's on the same milk carton as Murphy. So.
Yeah. Andrade, please put him back in NXT. At least they'll use them down there.
Or let him be the Big Show's announcement. Oh, we forgot to talk about that.
A huge announcement, yes.
Yeah, well, we talked about that, though, but I don't know. You want to talk about Big Show White Shirt? Yeah.
Oh, the No More BS shirt. I love it. He's even on his Titantron. It was fucking awesome. How do you think he's going to be as a color commentator?
I think he'll be pretty good. I think he'll be okay.
Do you think he's also going to be in-ring performer?
Absolutely.
Again, I think he's 48.
Okay, so is Jericho. And Jake Roberts is older.
The thing is,
we just saw Tully Blanchard.
68. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: because of his size, do you think he's still got gas in the tank?
Yeah, he's not like Andre, where he's like. He's
Andre's
healthier.
size killed him.
Yeah, he's healthier. I think he was diabetic. He's like taking stuff for that. I think he's in good shape.
Andre drank himself into a box.
Well, Andre was basically doing it to self-medicate. He was,
Speaking of which, I've been watching The Young Rock.
What do you think of that?
It's cutesy, family-friendly fluff. They just did a recent episode where we saw somebody play Vince McMahon.
Okay.
They portrayed Vince as very soft-spoken behind the scenes.
What? Well, probably back in those days he was.
This is when Rock's father was working for Vince.
Mm-hmm.
And this is after Peter passed away and Peter's wife ran the territory on Hawaii and Vince let his boys work the territory.
Right.
They did a thing where there was a rival promoter grabbing talent. He was supposed to get King Kong Bundy. Bundy didn't show up. Whoever played Savage is great because he got the voice down pat.
Okay, cool.
But we got a guy playing Andre, and I don't know where they got this guy, but he's doing the fake Andre French accent. It's iffy at best.
So, from what little bit I have seen, I've watched bits and pieces of it. I think they're trying to be more like young Sheldon.
Yeah, and you don't say the F word in front of young Dwayne. And you know what the F word is? Fake.
Okay.
When he said it when he was 12 in front of Andre always lifted him up into a ceiling fan. The Iron Sheik behind the scenes is hilarious because he's basically there being Uncle Sheiky.
Right.
Not the guy we're seeing on Twitter now where he's telling everybody to go fuck themselves.
By the way, I've yet to see that documentary, and I want to see it. Have you seen it?
The one on Netflix? I've been hearing about it. I heard Sheik is just a raging alcoholic.
Right. Well, but I also heard, basically they're saying he was a hardworking immigrant.
Yes.
And
he was in the 68 Olympics, wasn't he?
Yep. And
for Iran.
But he also wrestled for the U.S. too, because I have seen him in the U.S.
That was the Pan Am Games, right?
It might have been, and he also coached a lot of prominent wrestlers. He coached Brad Rennigan, he coached Bob Backlund, and pretty much I think he was one of the trainers in the AWA, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. The ones that Gagne used to sick on people. But
yeah, it's just Sheiky was always good talent, and he's just like a crazy old man on Twitter now, who basically tells people to go fuck themselves, and he wants to break people's backs with suplexes and camel clutches.
Right, and when he went on the Howard Stern show several times, those guys just picked up on that and just triggered him just because they knew he was going to sound funny as hell, and they were right. But there's one. It's some little bit of irony here, though.
Right.
Is I was watching this, they were maybe a second behind with the closed captioning.
Yeah.
They were showing a commercial for Liberty Mutual Insurance, and they showed the end of that Liberty, Liberty, Liberty in the captions, but they had Bobby Lashley holding up the belt as WWF was liberated from the stupid Miz.
Oh no!
No, I like Bailey.
Ding dong hello though.
Hell yeah! I would use new context to what Jim Cornette says. Thank you, fuck you, bye. I would. Yeah.
She said, you know what the glasses who she's trying to be now? The new Sally Jesse.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like a talk show. She's dressed like a talk show host, so good for her.
Oh, that was another thing. When they do the 80s flashback when Rock was a teenager, his mother was a cleaning woman, and the woman's house they were cleaning sucked her into watching Sally Jesse Raphael.
Oh, boy.
And how, those shows like an Oprah made men look really, really bad.
Well, speaking of documentaries, there's another one I want to talk to you about, and there's another thing that I'm going an idea for a future episode I want to propose to you.
Good.
There's one documentary I want to see, and I'm actually a new fan of this guy. You're going to kind of be surprised because I used to hate him with a passion.
Yeah.
Have you seen You Can't Kill David Arquette?
Yes. No, I've heard of it. I've heard of it. I actually sat down and watched the David Arquette death match against Nick Gage.
Okay.
One, the boy's in shape.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how good a shape he was.
Mm-hmm.
He took light tube shots.
Not just shots. He was literally stabbed in the neck with a sharp end of a broken light tube. Nick Gage, it was actually as if somebody was giving him like a COVID vaccine, but he was doing it with a jagged light tube. It was real.
You know what Nick Gage's ring announcement, when they announced him, he's MFK gang affiliated. MD kill, murder, death, kill.
Right.
And gang affiliated because remember, he was in jail.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The whole jail.
He still might be gang affiliated.
Yeah, gang affiliated after being in jail, yeah.
Yeah.
For what all reports was about Nick, all he did was hit weights. That's all he did was hit weights.
Yeah.
Yeah. He really pretty much stayed to himself.
Mm-hmm.
David Arquette is a crazy man. His ex-wife is probably wondering what the fuck went on.
Well, his current wife did too, because he went through a lot of stuff. He's had a heart attack, and a lot of people thought the reason he was doing a lot of these crazy matches was basically almost like a suicide attempt.
The former, I hate to say this, WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
But you know what? This is why I'm a fan of his, though. The reason why a lot of people disliked him and still do, and is because they made it a joke. They made it, they took that title that it harkens back to a lot of great wrestlers.
Like the old NWA days.
Exactly. And they made it into a damn joke.
They made it into a prop.
Well, the thing was, too, I watched an interview with Arquette about that movie from What Culture. And one thing he said at the beginning of his doc, once he did those matches, he was basically blackballed from Hollywood. Movie producers didn't want him.
I would do, too. I would be, too.
Except, the reason he did that, though, was to promote a damn movie. Remember they had that Ready to Rumble?
Oh, yeah,
So, all he was doing was,
Over the Top or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was cross-promotion. Yeah. He was trying to promote his movie, and he was trying to promote WCW. WCW was trying to promote the movie, which...
Well, from what I'm hearing, he's going to be in the new Scream sequel.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad he is getting some roles.
Yeah.
And I think that's shitty that Hollywood did that, because the highest paid actor right now is a multiple former WWE
champion
and a WCW champion, actually. But
and another one is John Cena, who's going to be in Fast 9 when that comes out.
Yeah,
and it's going to probably break the bank.
Fast 9, Suicide Squad, a bunch of those.
Yeah.
But back to David Arquette, and this is the idea that I have for this show. Pardon me for the bad audio, folks. It's me getting up off the couch to show Chris a DVD, and I'm knocking over our dinner as I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
Sorry about that, ladies and germs.
All right, yeah. Well, I showed you a link to this DVD.
Yes.
What I want to do, there is actually 2 matches I wanted to do this. The first one was, I wanted to find something that can be watched on YouTube. I wanted to do the Janela versus Leo Rush.
Excellent ladder match that I saw in person in CZW.
Right. And I scrolled on YouTube. Unfortunately, CZW has that in their streaming service. They don't have that as a free match. But the match between David Arquette and Jungle Boy, they do. And this is what I propose, Chris.
What?
I want to propose a watch-along party with that particular match. We will record it. You and I will watch the match. We will give our own commentary on it. And we will encourage you, the fans, to watch it along with us. Basically, what we'll do is we'll give you a link to the Jungle Boy versus David Arquette match. You can watch that, and you can listen to our commentary while we do that.
Do you want to be Vince or Jesse?
Depends which Vince.
Do you want 80s Vince or heel Vince?
I don't know. I'd rather be Ross and Lawler. But,
Ross and Lawler?
Yeah.
Puppies!
But, more like Ross and Jericho now, actually. But
No, Ross and Heyman.
Yeah. Well, you got his hair, though. You know,
yeah, I do.
But, I mean, what was interesting about that, though, is David Arquette said he went through a breakdown because of the death of Luke Perry. And Luke Perry was his best friend.
Oh.
So
that's right. They were in the original Buffy together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this particular match was after that for bar wrestling. Unfortunately, the link that I saw, I'll thank him for this because it'll help us with the show. But this is the first and last time I'll ever put over anything with Joey Ryan because it's on his YouTube account.
Oh, I got something to say about him after you're done.
Okay.
Because it's something that came up not too long ago.
Okay, good. Well, anyway, I will put the links up to this. I'll let you know, folks, if we do this watch party. We might do this with several matches, but it'll be ones that we can find either on YouTube or on Facebook where everybody can watch for free. You don't have to get Peacock or streaming package or anything like that to watch it with us. But anyway, go ahead.
There was supposed to be an independent wrestling show coming up. All the benefits go to helping women who have sexual abuse, and it's basically speaking out in Me Too movement type of people.
Right.
That show got canceled because guess who was on that show? One Joey Ryan. What is he being accused of right now? Sexual improprieties with female talent.
Yeah.
That show, a lot of people pulled out of that when they found out Ryan's name was attached to it. Ryan's not getting work anywhere, and I don't think he'll ever get work again.
God, you just said people getting work and pulling out in the same sentence.
Correct? With Joey Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
But wasn't the old Sam Kinison joke? He'll be lucky to work overnight drive-through window at Wendy's.
Yeah.
I don't know what possessed him to be part of this. I don't know what possessed anybody to book him on this show. I don't know what's going on. What was your take on it after I told you that?
Probably either the promoter didn't know what was going on and just remembered it and not paying attention to what he's being, I don't know, sued for or prosecuted or whatever for. Yeah. The other is, somebody does know and doesn't care. It's doing it to be a troll and maybe to get attention, but I mean.
The New Japan, the U.S. shows, the Strong Style show, Marty Scurll showed up. Mm-hmm. Now they're scrapping all the TV taping he did because they're getting backlash for Marty Scurll being on there now.
Well, with him at least, it's like there's question about like the age and consent and all that. You don't know. I mean, other than that, I mean, if it weren't for the age thing, I mean, Scurll basically did consensual stuff. I don't think anybody's really
16 is the legal age of consent in UK.
Yeah, and a lot of places in the US, but I mean, it's not the most ethical thing, but it's not,
Yeah. But, again, he's going to be another person. Let the heat die down. Then again, it's on the internet, and if it's on the internet, it's going to be on there forever. And people are going to make their own assumptions. I don't think Marty's going to work anywhere again.
Maybe not to the capacity that he was going to with Ring of Honor, which is a shame, because I thought...
He had Miss Booker?
Yeah, I was really looking forward to that program with him and Nick Aldis. That looked like it was going to be an amazing feud and setting up for an amazing match.
Because he set him up for a spot of bother.
Yeah.
But I always did like Marty. I thought Marty was a great character.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was a great worker.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can get through this. I'm not condoning what he did because, again, I know it's over 16, but I'm sorry. Maybe that's the way I feel.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah, maybe you can one condone, but there's probably a lot of people who've done that and haven't been caught, so...
Rob Feinstein!
No, I'm talking about with opposite
females.
Sex, but anyway.
Yeah, opposite sex, yeah. Yeah, we don't want to say anything. Feinstein will come after us.
Right, yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
You've done shows with him and for him in the past, so, I mean, whatever.
No.
You have before the allegations. Don't tell me you have.
It was me and you going to one of your shows before when he was owning it.
Right.
Then the allegations hit, and then I stopped going.
Right.
Until I found out in 2007 that Kerry Silken now owns the company, and I started going to shows again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I got introduced to such characters like Daniel Bryan.
Right.
Like Seth Rollins. Like Samoa Joe.
Yep. CM Punk.
AJ.
Christopher
Daniels, yes. Who's now on the face of side of a milk carton himself now at age 50.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is in Ring of Honor? Who's worked? Cesaro.
You're right.
Hero. The list goes on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
The head female trainer in NXT worked Ring of Honor, Sarah Del Rey. And again, I wish better luck for everybody. I wish Marty would get past this. I think Jimmy Havoc's doing it right now.
Yeah.
Because I think he's in therapy. Isn't he?
I haven't heard anything from Jimmy Havoc.
Didn't they let him go, or is he still with the
AEW
company?
let him go, but
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything since. I mean, well, they forgave Sammy Guevara, so, I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, even from what I heard, Sammy and Sasha had a 2-hour conversation on the phone.
Right.
And they worked it out, and Sasha forgives her.
Yeah.
He's young and stupid, and we did things on our youth that we regret.
When we say stupid things online, we've done it for what episode is this? 7 or 8?
7 or 8, yeah. And we're just grumpy old farts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or
as one friend of yours called us, grumpy old marks. Fuck you, Will. But anyway, go ahead.
No, there's old marks yelling at shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck you, Will.
And thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah.
But the future of the business is in flux right now.
Mm-hmm.
And any company, because you still got to deal with the COVID situation, and speaking out is still out there.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon being as erratic as he is.
Right. And with this Kelly Klein lawsuit you mentioned last week, they're going to you might hear some more names come out because like maybe through some depositions or through another case or something. I think this is
a start of something bad for Ring of Honor.
Right. And other companies, and probably a lot of the British companies.
Like Rev Pro?
Yeah, Rev Pro, ICW, and all that. Yeah, you're going to hear a lot. I mean, that's where a lot of these originally came from. So
didn't you say Defiant pretty much closed shop?
They closed shop because of Vince invading their territory.
And just gobbled up. The 1980s gobble up all the territories.
Yeah, and a lot of their wrestlers got to work different places. I mean, Skrull went, John Henry went, and
Wolfgang. Oh, yeah. Well, you got the local guys there.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Rev Pro?
Can't say I have. No.
Me neither. I was always wondering what their shows are like.
Right.
Because
I did watch they did the reboot of World of Sport. They used to have it late at night. I think it was on, I think locally on WNUV, if I'm not mistaken.
I think, I remember that,
but, yeah, because they had Joe Henry on there. They had a lot of British people, a lot of the British wrestlers that I saw, like, on Impact. But they also had, what's her name, cheerleader Melissa, well, no.
Not Melissa, yeah.
Oh, no, SoCal Val, I'm sorry.
SoCal Val, yeah.
She was on their announce team. Wade Barrett was one of the announcers as well, and I forget who the play-by-play person was, but I mean, pretty much it was really homogenized. It looked a lot like the old WCW syndicated show that they used to have at
Orlando.
Yeah,
Universal.
It was a similar setup. I think they even had a revolving ring there, but I mean,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Ugh. You even said that after the Miz one. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anything else, my friend?
Trying to think this. What do you think about the watch party thing?
I think it's a fantastic idea. Like, we could add our own smart assery to it.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk to a former guest of ours? See if they want to add people to that too?
Maybe not to that one. Maybe future matches, though. I mean, our previous guest might. I mean, we can comment on one of her matches. We can comment on her significant Dreamers matches. But
again, I'll go back to a Dreamers promo at the last streaming pay-per-view special, which was a fantastic promo. I wish the best for Tommy.
Right.
I think because of the way he talks about his body, I don't think he should be in the ring anymore. If he's getting trouble out of bed.
I'm wondering if some of those promos sound very familiar. Some of them sound very similar to what Terry Funk used to do. And, he holds Terry Funk in high regard.
Very high regard. And best of wishes to Terry Funk. I know he's going through some health issues right now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and to Tommy. We've seen him in person almost damn near kill himself several times.
Speaking of 70-plus-year-old men, Ric Flair, the reason why he wanted to be on television is because he says he has one more match in him. At 72.
Okay, Lacey Evans is pregnant, so you're done with that then. What else?
Because, Luthez had that one match at 74 against Chono. And maybe that's why where he got the idea.
Well, we can put him up against Sting.
That again?
Yeah, that's how they ended Nitro, so why not?
Yeah. Well, that's when Flair was in his 50s?
Yeah, he's about what our current age is now, I think.
And still in good shape back then, too.
Yeah. I mean, you and I are in the shape of something, but it's probably something round.
Yeah, I can't even see my feet anymore.
Yeah. Forget a six-pack. We have Coors Light party balls, except we drink better beer than Coors Light. But anyway.
Yeah. You drink yours, I'll drink mine. Ric Flair working another match. Then again, Tully working in at 68. But then again, that was a tag match. It was lighter workload for him.
And I'm going to ask AEW to do one thing. And even though WWE did this with Lana and people hated because they did it every week, I would love if they did this every week. Can we somehow work to get Tully Blanchard to slingshot suplex Marco Stunt every week? Please, can we?
And put Orange Cassidy through tables?
No, I want them to save Orange Cassidy for SpongeBob Hardcore. I want Suzuki to beat him into, I don't know, duck orange juice, lemonade orange juice, Tropicana orange. Well, they can't do Tang. Here, there you go. Send him into orbit. Yeah. Make space ice cream out of it. Yeah, exactly.
The ice cream bars from WWE.
Mm-hmm. And have him do that maniacal laugh while he's doing it, please. Please.
You know, the hardcore fan, the casual fans don't know who Suzuki is, but the hardcore fans like me and you, after I showed you those YouTube videos, seeing him in AEW, he's going to scare people. He's going to legit scare people.
Speaking of scary people in AEW, and we'll probably wrap it up shortly after this, one who's been on Milk Carton, but she was on Dark recently.
Abaddon.
Yes. When are we going to see her back? And give her that damn belt, please. I love Sheeta. She's probably one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in wrestling. But
great cosplay, great pianist. She has her own YouTube channel where she does she wrote her own adventure series.
Right.
On air, and she's creative. She's very creative.
Mm-hmm.
But Abaddon's another creature on another level, and she plays that fucking gimmick to the hilt on social media where you don't see her face at all. Again, you don't know her real name.
Well,
she's off grid.
It's been leaked. You have seen it.
Her face, yes, her face, but nobody knows her real name. It's like Rob Zombie. Nobody knows Rob Zombie's real name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and what I like about her gimmick, she's able to do a horror gimmick without pyro, without transportation, without, a
casket.
without Savini making a friggin' mask for her. She's just scary on her own. She just brings her own self. She's her own horror effects, I mean.
It's like Rosemary when she first started.
Yeah.
Or Sue Young when she first started. Now she's Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's. I think that's who the tag titles are going up against. They're taking on Susan and Kimberly.
Oh, okay.
For the Knockouts tag titles. And Su Yung, if you ever saw her as the Undead Bride,
yeah,
and you saw Susie as the instant type character, Susan's the more conservative. She comes out dressed like Hillary Clinton used to,
right,
with a pantsuit, and she wrestles in the pantsuit.
Yeah.
Look at Paul Heyman in a sheet.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing like the Miss Hancock. She's doing what Terry Reynolds used to do in WCW when she had the computer, the laptop.
Alexander York, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the three faces of Su Yung.
Basically, she's doing the gimmick that Leva Bates probably should do.
Blue Pants?
Yeah. Yeah, I miss her. I like the gimmick with her and Peter Avalon, the librarian.
You mean Pretty Pete now?
Not so much of a fan of Pretty Pete, but I mean, I guess he wanted to ditch that gimmick. Yeah. I don't blame him, but I don't know. I thought that gimmick was hilarious. The fact that they didn't even have to come out to bring music, they just came out to and they told all those idiot fans to shush, you know. I mean, I don't blame them. I would, there's plenty of times I want to tell a lot of those indie marks to shush, but
it's like, what did Trent Acid always have to tell people to shut up? Shut up.
Shit, yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, he got that from the Bugs Bunny cartoon. That little,
here's the thing. I'm going to ask you this before we leave.
Yeah.
If Trent Acid his demons didn't succumb to him, do you think he would have been a big name in a bigger company?
Hard to say.
Because remember, when we first saw him, I thought he would be the next Shawn.
Right. Well, the problem is one of his demons was a succubus named Missy Hyatt, so I mean...
Oh, yeah. Are we going to see Daniel Bryan get out of the cage? No.
Probably not.
No. No! No!
Yes, no.
Yes, no. No, that's the Zodiac. I found out they're going to have WrestleCon this year. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to have WrestleCon this year.
They'll probably make it virtual and they'll have it like it's...
Well, from 1 year, they're selling tickets.
Okay. Where in...
It's going to be in Orlando.
Okay, the same week as
it's going to be in Tampa. That's where it's always at the site where Mania is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know, because of the travel restrictions, they can't bring New Japan guys in, like usual. All the foreign wrestlers that can't come in.
So we got to wait another year for Orange to be squashed into Suzuki.
By the Japanese Joker.
Yeah.
Come on, boy!
Cassidy run over by Suzuki.
Suzuki Goon.
Yeah, motocross, but...
Would you rather have him against Suzuki, or would you rather have Orange Cassidy against Zack Sabre Jr.? Which Sabre can take him apart.
But he would do it as more of a... It would be more of a competitive match, probably, with this, where they would have a lot of flying and stuff. Yeah. I want Suzuki to basically no-sell everything Cassidy does, like Bruiser Brody did with Lex Luger.
Yeah.
Although, which is kind of hard because Orange Cassidy is like a good offense, is a good defense, you know.
When he does those soft kicks and those soft punches, Suzuki's just going to look at him like he's a retard.
Well, yeah, like a lot of fans who aren't Cassidy's, basically, who aren't marks for him. Yeah, it's just...
It's merchandise. He's a merchandise guy. His merch sells. Sorry.
I think sells. Yeah, I mean... And but it was unexpected, though. I mean, the fans there basically...
It's authentic. Like Kofi was, like Daniel Bryan was. Why does fucking Paul Heyman look more and more like the Penguin?
Well, I mean, it looked like his eyes were going to pop out, though. Exactly. I'm not a human, I'm an animal. Yeah.
Well, on that note, are we done?
I guess we are done. Follow us on at Comic Book Action Theater for our RGC Multimedia Twitter. You can also follow us in our Facebook group. Like, share, subscribe to this video, hit the bell. You know what to do with the YouTube stuff.
Christopher James Filato on Facebook, SC Filato on Twitter.
Okay. Alright, and with that, folks, we'll talk to you next week. My whole bitch.